we can make them obsolete. That's the beauty of the space. Because all we need to do, we need to create a shield from these, the way these balls are going through the walls, they create a shield. You can put whatever you like around it. Put the latest communication line. One little tiny ball which can create a field can literally cut all the internal communication of any the latest modern ships in the world with outside. Useless. Russians has shown part of my technology 2 years ago when they stopped the famous American boat. So you can jam, you can block, you can stop a lot of things, and this is where the space technology will come in. We are working with the Chinese for the development of these kind of systems that it can be used what we call as oasis system. In a time of disaster, a ball can create a shield, is your home. And it's been done. You can create from the same system water, you can produce from the same system materials you need, and you can create heat. So in the state, what I call the Fox News group have blocked this technology to be known. But outside, world leaders are well rehearsed about what we do. We are here to make a change. We were supposed to show what we call a hybrid energy, but this is irrelevant because even in less than a month through the development technology is obsolete already. You can build it at home. We released the blueprint and a number of people around the world already in less than 2 days, 3 days have started building it. That by tomorrow we showed before you come on how people around the world are start building it. So 90% of our work will be a space. How we can travel at the speed beyond the imagination of present time. Now that we have learned we can create gravity at will, at the strength we need, and we can control it gradually as we add to the knowledge. We don't need to travel the way we do with the present space technology, weightlessness and everything else, because we can create gravity 1G inside the structure. We can develop these technologies very rapidly, and it's done by people. The governments have no more or less say in this technology. It's getting done, developed by the people, and in a way I did this deliberately that the knowledge cannot be shelved. The knowledge, this knowledge belongs to all of us. This knowledge has to be equal to all of us, and in a way we are setting the course for humanity, and nobody has any say with it because we are all part of it. Hundreds of thousands of people across the world build these systems, build these waters. When you go to a doctor and he says you have a cancer, and madam, I have no choice, you got the second cancer and you die, and nobody can tell you that I can drink a water, drinking water from the tap, I put to a mixture, just the water of it, I sleep in that water, and in 30 days, 60 days, I have no cancer. FDA doesn't count. Nobody can tell you you cannot do it at home. This is where we are entering. People helping themselves. I always say, you're the last man standing. Nobody can tell you in a space, if they're the last one, if I want to try something, do I go to FDA if I receive the FDA approval? But this time we teach everybody the same. All the medical application, all the food application, all the material application is a byproduct which you see, but is for a space. In a space I should be able to produce what I need when I need. I can't come back to Earth and let's say I want aluminium or I want gold. In the last 2 weeks, what we call our new plasma scientists in Austria, using 2 rotating balls, the way I taught them, they have managed to create metals, and these are going for analysis. They are gold. You can literally now create gold out of fresh air. It's the way it's done in the universe. How do you think the gold appeared on this planet? The gravitational magnetic field of the plasma which leaves the sun, at certain point have a strength which is the strength of the gold. And in that position in the solar system, it changes to gold. Nobody pours gold in. Now we understand the technology. You do what you like. And in a space, we have to have this freedom. In the past, we've seen, as I say, Teflon came with NASA because they produced it for what they wanted, and then it became to market. This technology in the next 6 months, in 2 years, will be the same as Teflon. People will produce. You can produce in the coming weeks more and more people. We will release the data from independent organization that you can produce as much gold as you like at home. It's a matter of days or hours. There are people who are producing it. And it's on the internet. People, they come and show you. We see people who are producing medicine the way that it can interact with the body. And these are the space technology application. This is where the change comes. And a nation and a government, when you are in Washington, have paid a deaf ear to what is on the table. You're going to get so hit so hard that there is no way you will ever recover. As a report for President Xi, they initiated scientists some 2 years ago to look at my technology, and the report of these scientists in a brief for the president of China was very simple. If China doesn't follow the new path of the plasma the way it's come from Keshe Foundation, soon will be third world nations beyond Africans, because Africans have taken it up. In a state you ignored us for whatever reason, and you're going to pay heavy for it. Because I can release your communication with the world leaders, with the Chinese and the others. They are going so fast with this, you have no choice. You have to understand the situation has changed, and you're stuck with it. You're totally stuck with it. Every possible way has been made by Jewish lobby to block us, but it's your loss, not ours. We put a hand of friendship out. We teach many Americans. They are learning. In the coming hours, in the coming weeks, the Maghreb system, which creates energy, you will not pay a cent for electricity to the government. It costs you less than $20, $30 to produce it. Would you pay $200, $300? Would you sleep in cold when you can just make it yourself in your kitchen? This is what it is. This is literally coming from grassroots. Where is your income going to go? Oil become useless. In next maximum 12 months, millions of Americans will build this system in their kitchen. The oil industry in the state is gone. At the moment, the same coil system, which you will see on the table, is used for reduction of the fuel, 40%, 50% reduction in your car fuel. Where is the oil industry is going to go? The people like Monsanto, we have shown it. We can reverse anything Monsanto has done in less than 10 minutes by mixing their seed in a water, which is natural water, and all the genetic has changed back to normality, back where it was before they got involved. So, American government, American nation, in so many ways you are falling behind so much that very soon you will go to Africa to bring things in. This is what we see is going to happen. Because Africans are actually, now we are in the Atomic Energy Commission of African nation. And we are doing so much research and work there. In America, they block us for everything else. But amongst you Americans, there are so many American testing and developing. Those of you in position of power have to change your point, otherwise you have no shares in the companies. Oil will have no value in next 6 months, 12 months. As people start creating energy at home, people start using these systems, which is 10 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt, weighs less than half a kilo. Are you going to pay so much for oil and gasoline? No way will do. Are you going to the hospital to get a chemotherapy where you can create a water less than 10 cents, sleep in it? And these are the people who've done it. This has been done. This is not theory. We have doctors in the United States who are practicing this medicine. And they've seen the results with their patients. We have people in Washington. We have people in New York. They have started doing it because this is the way out. And we come to show you energy system. Unfortunately, due to the mechanical system has failed, but when we show the plasma system of it in next maybe 24 hours, when our research centers are ready to release it, you will see it's instantaneous. You can build what I call solid state, no moving part, for less than maybe $5, $10 for all energy you need. Because once you start creating energy this way, you change and convert the energy to materials you need. We have managed now to create plasma energy. Plasma energy is the energy of sun. It's plasma. It's got both gravitational and magnetical. Depending on one strength in magnetical and one strength in gravitational, it becomes gold, it becomes silver, it becomes cotton. Now we can produce anything. And this is where, as a nation, you're falling behind. It's sad to say, but those are who are around Keshe Foundation, they work, they've seen the work, and they tell you, somehow somebody has to decide, are you going to become a third world nation, or you become part of them moving very fast? If I move to China, which is very highly possible, your naval forces in China Sea worth pennies. You have to set what I call rowing boats to bring your latest modern ships, military, back to United States, because even the engines will not work. I've explained this in my teaching, and it's very easy. All your systems carry chips. All we need to do, now we know how to create carbon out of fresh air, we need to change the carbon in one single microchip, which is very easy for us. People amongst you, they tell you we produce CO2 out of fresh air as a liquid, as a solid, which has never been heard. You block out 20 chips, your ship's worth nowhere. The defense technology in space I have developed not for military here, because in space I have to be able, if I go with a higher speed, nowadays you get a speck of dust hitting a satellite, can put it out of position. With this new technology, you don't have this problem. You create a shielding that it protects you. At higher speed, we need it. So we have two choices. Move on, or allow the organizations in America who know who we are, been trying for years to bring us into the United States, to move with their move. NASA has been trying to get us into NASA organization for years. I released the documents to the attorney today. I've given lectures in Johns Hopkins for the Department of Energy. Block. Now you lost. Look at this technology, understand it. Otherwise, in covering it up, it becomes the story of the, what do you call, the animals who put their head into the sand. They think nobody can see them because they can't see anything. And then they get shot on the butt. This is where America is going. If I move to China, which is on the option, if I move to China, Chinese, all the investment you've done in military worth zero. And somehow nobody's getting this in. White House knows, President Obama exactly knows who I am. Mrs. Clinton knows who I am. She signed my arrest for 13 days to be kept in Toronto airport for 11 days to be told I'm going to be killed. She signed my arrest paper to be held because they didn't want the technology to move somewhere. Your government knows. Now, if you don't move, the nation will know, but you have no choice. We came with the hand of peace, we came with the hand of friendship, but somehow your multinationals, they thought they can control everything, being from Fox News and everybody else. And I says, I'm very sorry to say, very soon, very, very soon, sooner than you can think, you have nothing to what you're proud of. I'm a nuclear physicist. I know my program. I know what I can do. We can literally stop all the nuclear warheads in their silos. All I need to do, I need to touch the microchip and just change one parameter. They never fly. In a recent meeting of the heads of states in past couple of weeks, my technology was discussed. I know because we get a communication from Chinese government. Russian and Chinese have accepted this technology has to come out. Americans are fumbling with it. What they're going to do with it, you're going to lose with it very heavy. The biggest problem you have is, or they created, is I'm an Iranian nuclear physicist living in Europe for 40 years. I still carry Iranian passport. I'm dangerous. Now the danger has come to rest with you. Everything you developed as a superpower worth nothing. Literally nothing. You want to test it, you give me the Phantom F-18, whatever you like, and give me 5 minutes. I'll bring it down like nothing. Your pilots don't even know what touched them. You give me the latest military battleship you have, and give me 10 minutes. It'll be floating with nothing. I can stop submarines in deep ocean, no problem. These are not threats, these are the developments of the technology which made the old obsolete. Chinese have it, Russians have shared it with them, the Iranians have shared it with both Chinese and the Russians. President Obama, I released a paper to the attorney today, on the 6th of November 2012, asked for the technology to be given. It sits with your government, the blueprint of all these designs. Where has the chip is gone to? With all the patents, everything else which was on in patent applications and all the designs. You're fooling yourself, and very soon you're going to pay very heavy for it. Very, very heavy. Because as I always say, look at this system, it looks like a pile of black stuff. At the moment, your scientists pay millions to make this black stuff. It's a nanomaterial in the purest form. And we make it with a few cents, and the Chinese, a 5 years old girl makes it in the toilet. This is how simple it is. And in America, everything is wrong with it. And soon, if someone in Washington does not start moving, in next 2-3 months, I promise you one thing, Chinese will take you on, and Chinese will show you, you have no air force, you have no military base to control anywhere on the high seas. The only choice is to go in the path of what we're negotiating with the Chinese on the military and the government, that we come to an arrangement, nobody fires nothing, we abandon military. It's very hard for a nation like you, because you rely on your military, but the time of wars are finished. It takes me 5 minutes. I can stand here. I've shown this to one of your guys who came to see me 2 years ago. I can jam any radar anywhere. When I do test myself, I inform the air forces I'm testing. Any flight above my property is no-go zone, because you don't know what's going to happen to you. And now the knowledge is amongst the people who are sitting with you now. There are a number of people amongst you who can show it to you. You're not going to be fantasy. There are people who are there who come to see the power unit. Just to be there to see it, I'm sorry, but maybe tomorrow morning, it's already videoed. You can see the video. It was done for Gordon Duff. He asked for it the latest before it was moved. Before they moved it to Washington, it was taken picture of it working in the garden. And it costs, I don't know, $10, $15, you can do it. The process is what I say, America, wake up, or the sleep will be very deep. You'll never wake up out of it, because the others are passing you. Look at the technology, what it's going to bring, and if you are in a position of getting to someone to see it, to develop it, there are Americans amongst you who can teach you very rapidly. We have masters like Armin, we have other people in the room. You have an American with you, Douglas. Give him the space, he'll show you how electricity is made in less than 10 minutes. And you don't need even to plug it in. And as I said, if you say you're going to tax a house for the energy consumption, as I said to people who follow me, tell the government how much gold will be 1,000. 10 gram, 100 gram, 500 gram of gold. Now we have shown it. I can ask for the video to put on. If you can see it on the screen, you can create gold, give the government 500 gram of gold. Situation has changed, and now that we release the energy, is a plasmatic energy. It becomes whatever you like. You'll find out my call is very, very correct to the American nation. Move up, start moving very fast, bring the technology to be taught on the television level. In China, we have hundreds of thousands of followers. In America, you keep it quiet because it's not, as one guy said to me, if it's not in CNN, it's not true. By the time it becomes true to you, is in reality nobody needs. The effect of this process is, as I've explained very clearly, nobody needs any more American products. You cannot export a thing. People are making everything they need. Look in Africa. They will not import a single gram of fertilizers from the United States. It costs them less than $2 to create the water from any metal in on the street, in the house, and add it to be in the part of the water, and becomes fertilizer, it becomes pesticide, and everything else. We are not talking, this is done physically by farmers. They've seen the results. Now it's getting tested in universities in Africa. And in America, you're still busy with the religion, the color of the skin, and the way of belief. And you're going to pay heavy for it. I told you, I challenge you, give me any latest modern aircraft and 10 minutes. You tell me where you want it to land, or I tell you where I dropped it. You can pick it up. And if you rely on gold, I can show you a video made by Austrian man, and this week, next week, more people will start making it. You tell me how much gold you want in central bank, because people will pay you in kilos from now on. This meeting is a wake-up call in Washington. And if you don't wake up, the coma will be so deep you'll never get out of it. Thank you very much.
You're taking questions, right, Farron?
Pardon?
You'll be taking questions here, right?
With the greatest of pleasure, of course.
Okay, I figured it's
Mr. Kersh, I don't think your video is working right now. I don't know if you intended that or not.
My video, I need permission. I need your permission to allow me. You don't allow me.
It should be okay now. Okay, we'll try that.
Okay. This says start my video.
It just comes up black right now, so.
Okay, I'm still in the same position. Yep, no, it's not allowing. You have to promote me to be able, or when.
No, I've already allowed you, but it just came up black for some reason. So there's something else going on there, maybe a background application or something.
Can you? No, it's a standard. We were live before, and is the camera check? No, if the camera is on, they should be on. I have chosen the camera. It says FaceTime. Yeah. Which one? Video setting? Plug it in, plug it back in. Okay, where do you want it to plug? From the laptop or from the unit? Okay, it's unplugged. It's plugged back in. It's the same.
You need to choose the device now.
I have chosen the device. It just doesn't give me anything.
Was that it?
Just blank.
Okay, it says camera setting. Yes, no problem. You can speak to Caroline. Ask any question you like, and I'll try to answer.
Yeah, see if we get questions here.
Any questions?
I've got a question. I'll start it off. Okay, one of the things that I saw the letter from Obama to you today, which was almost like a threat. I mean, the United States is the greatest power on earth, and we can use our technology to defeat any enemy, and we're doing that now. One of the things that might have come through is some people who were listening to this who were not familiar with your work is that you were essentially saying hey, listen, my technologies can be used to defeat pretty much any military power on this planet. In which case, one response might be, well, oh no, ours is bigger than yours, or something like that, which, given my understanding of the technology, that's probably not true. But do you understand the objection that some people might have to what you're saying, that you can bring down these jets, you can disable these military ships, and bring down the drones and things of that variety?
In so many ways. First of all, this goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. You said you've seen the letter from President Obama.
Yes.
To me. And as you noticed on the letter, it's on the letter of the White House, yes. On a private letter of the President, not the White House letter of President. Mm-hmm. It's a private response by the President Obama. And as he is fully aware of my work, as you've seen, it's addressed Dear Mehran. The problem is that the White House is fully aware of the work. Is when they choose to bring it out. And when they think they want to bring it out. The American government, you saw the letter directly from the head office of NASA 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You saw it today when I sent it to you. Yes. Endorsed by the notary of the NASA, in allowing me to come into a state for presentation and talk with NASA, and blocked again by Washington. It's not that the government doesn't know what we do. It's just that they thought by blocking it, one day it goes underground and dies, but it's grown more and more. The problem is how much, how fast the American government will change position. We have shown the power of this technology to the American 3 or 4 times. Not just once or twice. When I met with the American officials, when they asked for the USB stick, which you saw the letter today, the email from the American embassy on the 2nd of November, they asked me one question. Can you explain to us how you managed to capture the drone? Because they know the drone, which is a famous drone by American captured, is used a very advanced technology of jamming. Literally, we brought it part of the capsule.
The one that got captured in Iran, correct?
Yes, and if you go back, I tell you something, there are people in the audience, you can go on the internet. On the 3rd of December, on the 26th of November, we were supposed to show the first flying machine in Philips Eindhoven Center. They came to my house, they told me you cannot fly the day before 26, on 25th. And the officer told me, do you have a flying license? I said, no. It says it stays. When you get a flying license, then you can fly your car. I thought this was too below the belt because they wanted to discredit us. The following Saturday, I gave a talk in a fully packed audience in Ghent, in Belgium. And I said, for what you did with us the week before, we're going to show the power of this technology. It's all recorded, it's on the internet. The next day on the 4th, you lost the drone, which your president is in the news. He said, can we have our toy back? Because with the knowledge we have, the way we can capture your latest drone, 27 meter wide, long, 10 meter wide, a toy, it shows the technology has to be so superb and superior to do such a thing. You've seen the touch of my technology, but it's for you to understand how it's going to do. If we can capture the latest systems in yours, like a, God knows, a toy, as your president call it, you have lost all credibility in any field. As I said to your diplomat, he said, can you tell us how fast you travel? That's 45 years ago. I said to him, we passed your nation so many times, you don't have the technology to detect us. Your present radar is obsolete. Absolutely obsolete. And I can show it to you. A gentleman called Mike Harris, part of the, he's a, what I call Vietnam veteran. When he came to see me, I said he could feel it. This part of 1 meter, this side you don't hear a noise, on the other side you hear all the noise. We can jam anything now. Anything. It is some sort of, it's a grace of God, we haven't touched your military heavily in the world. I have no fear, because if the military stops, the wars stops, and then we spend the money on a peaceful application. And as I said, if a man like me receives a private letter from your president, it means they know who we are. Somebody's got to wake up in Washington, otherwise it will be too late. And if you want to know more, I've explained this before, your government knows exactly everything we do. They're on my teachings every Thursday. Every Thursday. And you can go on my teaching. I finish teaching in the morning by your time, 8, 9 o'clock. In the afternoon, your president issued a presidential decree on what I said is going to happen, that they can move to protect you about the earthquake. And now you have the test from it. It didn't come from nowhere. The same day, in the afternoon, because we explained what is to happen, the presidential decree was offered. So your people know in the highest level, it's how you're going to bring it into public. And we tried to show, like this presentation of the energy in the hybrid. It didn't happen. Maybe it was for the best. But in next 24 hours, 48 hours, we have a number of them working now. It's not just this one. We wanted to show this, made by an American, shown by the American, but unfortunately it wasn't time for America to see it. But most probably, if it stays, if you are from Johns Hopkins University, if you are from one of the universities in Washington, take him to a lab with you and let him build it for you. By tomorrow night you have the system free, and then teach your people. I'm not saying we're going to send people from Iran, we're going to do, can you open my video please? It seems to getting fixed, but I need a permission to be able to share. So you don't need to rely on me. You have the masters of the Keshe Foundation amongst you. You have Douglas, you have Ahmed. They teach you. They go around the world. They teach every day around the world. They're teaching everybody else except the Americans who don't want to listen. Don't take them and wait. The beauty with this technology is the results are there within few minutes, within few days. You can test it. It's not that you have to wait for years. You have the assets, you are ignoring it. Your people are teaching the rest of the world what to do, and they are doing it. And inside America, you're shutting it down.
Your video should be on there, Mr. Keshe, or at least allowed to turn on. And we see a black screen. Is there anything over the lens, perhaps? Is there a...
No, it's open.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
No, there is something is not allowing us to use it. It was on. We had to switch off, switch on. We lost the camera.
While we're waiting for that, you want to explain what we have here on the table? So that people...
You have the master there, Armin and Douglas are there. They can explain to you. Would you like two of you to explain?
Douglas, on down. It'll be about 5 hours.
Go ahead.
as you see it now, which is part of it, got shorted out this afternoon. That's the reason why the whole thing here is about all the appliances connected to it. That's, as you see it, it is 5,000 with the minor additions. And the newer device is even smaller than that.
Can you speak louder? We can't hear you.
Douglas, begin.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Douglas.
For everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Douglas Edwards. I'm proud to be back here in the nation's capital. I haven't been here for 30 years. I was stationed in Belvoir, electrical engineering, air defense artillery. So, and glad to be back in the heart of the nation. I love this country, and I love the people of this country. Thank you all for coming out. With that being said,
The number is this.
What Mr. Kesh was trying to explain earlier is that I had broke the shaft. Well, it's not this one, but I can show you one just like it, maybe.
Douglas, bring it over here in front of the camera so they can see it. They didn't have the top part of it off.
There's a shaft inside of this little pump here.
They put it in front of the camera.
They can see it now.
Yeah, a little shaft there inside of the pump. This is just a pond pump. So nothing fancy. You plug it in this way to a wall. It makes water go out of your waterfall in your pump in your yard. If you cut the end of the cord off and you supply a source, a motor, which I use a 12-volt source, and actually this here rechargeable 12-volt Dremel tool. Nothing special about it. Just has a variable speed on it. This attaches to the rotor like this in a similar fashion. And what this does when it's engaged at 12 volts, it spins the rotor in here. This rotor is a 180-degree magnet, north and south. That's all it obtains in there. When it spins, it produces voltage. The higher the RPM I go, the more voltage I can get out of this motor. This little pump in particular, we achieved in the lawyer's office today several times over 600 volts by using 12-volt DC, obtained 600 volts AC, and we achieved over 1,000 volts once. My meter shot the OL overload circuit on it. Both of them did. We've lit the bulbs up, and unfortunately, I was trying to do this. This needs to be mounted, so it's stationary. And trying to do this with a left hand and a right hand, and it just didn't work. And I ended up breaking the rotor in here. It's a ceramic magnet, so if it wasn't for that, I'd be able to put on a demonstration for you guys tonight and show you just real quick how we can get 600 volts out really fast.
And how many watts?
We can go up to I've reached 6 kilowatts so far. 3.5 to 4 easy. Getting into the 6, and the capacitors need to be added on, more capacitance.
Now, at what point can you disconnect the Dremel tool?
Like Mr. Kesh said, when the heartbeat occurs, this is a plasma reaction. It converts what we know as vibrational electricity into a plasma electricity. And we all think of plasma electricity as, what modern day physics has taught us, proton, neutron, and all of this. And what we're learning is that plasma is the source that comes from the sun. The sun is plasma, and it feeds us. And in order for the sun to ignite, it has to have a heartbeat also. Just like Mr. Kesh was explaining, when you pump on our chest, the plasma goes through us and gives us life. And the plasma in us carries oxygen and all the things that we need in order to survive. Now, these coils do the same thing. They're nano-coated. And for the first time in the history of mankind, this procedure has been able to be done in atmospheric and room temperature conditions. Now, this process to doctors that are in here is known as wetting. I have titanium in my spine, and in order for any kind of metal to be implanted in the body, it has to be wetted. It has to be nano-coated in order for cells to not adhere to it, so your body doesn't reject it. That's what that all is about. So they nano-coat this. They've had this process for a long time, but they have to do it under special circumstances. Vacuums, high temperature, pressurization, and chemical processes. Now we have the ability to do this right here in front of you, room temperature, with none of these high state gadgets that they have that cost the taxpayers millions of dollars to do. We do this, like Mr. Kish said, for cents. A little salt and some water, and 2 elements, and that's where we go. And we use each element for a different thing. Now the nano coating procedure allows these coils here to become superconductors. And I don't have the meter up here with me here. I'd show you. They do not carry any resistance at all, none whatsoever. So what happens with the nano coating process is it takes the copper wire. These are copper wires, and it basically puts an insulation around them, even though they're not insulated. But it allows the electricity to travel over it instead of through it. And when we nano coat something, it causes the surface area to what we call popcorn out. So instead of having a flat surface area to follow on the electronic vibrational path, it has many surface areas. It has many paths it can go. That's how it becomes the superconductor. And I have personally pulled over 20 amps household electricity through my 14 gauge wire, which is a physical impossibility. Any electrician knows this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've done the same through 24 gauge wire. Similar technology.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk out.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But this, like Mr. Case said, was explaining, it popcorns, so it allows more surface areas, so it allows more paths for the vibrational electricity, the voltage and the wattage to travel. So it can go in super fast speeds. And there's an entrance and an exit point. The entrance point being on this side and the bottom of the gravitational part of what's called the maggraph, and it goes through a set of capacitors. And this being the positive side, which would be what we call the magnetical. There's just a meter here, and we can show real quick if there's no resistance on here. We'll go to.
That's the answer to JP Morgan's question, I think. A meter.
We'll go up there to the whole world see that if they can. And I'll touch them right beside each other, and you'll see she'll zero down there. Zero down there. Zero down there. Now, see the difference? No resistance there. See, I touched 2 wires up here on the top of this coil that I'd seen where the copper was exposed. I can do it again here in a second. If I can find them again. There they are. Yep. See there? The copper's exposed. It'll show a reading. Now, when the copper's not exposed, it won't show a reading.
And the gauge is set at what now? At how many?
It's at 2,000 kilo-ohms.
Okay.
So
that's a fair number. That's
it's a huge number.
2 mega ohms.
Yeah, it's quite a number there. It should have. So it shows the ability. Yes, sir. Yeah, question.
Is there continuity between your probe and this?
No.
Electric.
No, there's none.
Because it's insulated, right?
No, it's not insulated. It's nano coated. These are insulated. They have the factory insulation on them. The nano coating, you and I would consider insulation. Yes, I have the ability to hold this in my hand when 20 amps is going through it. It doesn't faze me at all. Now, if I ground myself, I can get shocked.
Is it the same type of shock?
No, it's not. No, it's a plasmatic shock. It's not a vibrational shock.
Right, you get into that this afternoon, and it's an important difference.
So if you hook that up to like producing 117 volts, the maximum you can pump out 50 amps.
Oh, there's no limit to this. We're just scratching the surface. There's no limit to this because of the plasma technology. And me being an electrician and a licensed master plumber, that's what I've done for the last 30 years after I got out of air defense. Knowing what I know about wires and solid state electronics, and knowing that this is the wave of the future, there's nothing like it on the planet. I was a man you're looking at physically that, like I said, I have a titanium fusion S5L1. 5 screws are still in my back to this day. Last October, I could barely move. I couldn't hardly move at all. I mean, I was just about wheelchair bound. My neurologist had told me that within 5 years I'd be paralyzed. I started using the Mr. Keshe's technology regarding on healing the medical applications of the technology, and not so much focused on the energy, because I've been working with energy for years. I couldn't stand the pain anymore, and to me anything was worth anything besides having to take a pill. I do not like medication at all. So Mr. Keshe has given me my life back. So, you know, in turn I owe my life to him, is the way I look at it. Because I'm a father now. Again, I interact with my children, I interact with my wife. I can actually go to the grocery stores now. I can do things in the yard, you know, that I couldn't do before. I couldn't push my little son around on his bicycle, you know. So, you know, this has given me my life back, and it's you know, and that's just the medical aspect of it. And this, there's so many different good qualities about this technology that I could sit here and talk all night and couldn't list all of them. There's no way. Just with the things that we have available now to us, and like I said, we've only scratched the surface. This is just the surface. The plasma energy is the like Mr. Keshe said, it's the atom of the future. You know, and that was kept between a few people. You know, now we were going to have the whole world involved in this. So imagine what we can all do to this with this when we come together and start putting it under different applications and different testing procedures. But back to the explanation of the maggraph, like I said, it becomes a superconductor that allows the electricity to become in a plasmatic state instead of an electronic vibrational state. And like he was asking earlier, yes, it will give you an electrical shock. It's not the same thing though. It's not the grab you and do this. It's a really high frequency. I'm sure some of you remember some of Tesla's writings, maybe not, but he spoke of a higher frequency electricity that allowed him to hold 1 million volts. Well, this is basically the same thing. The higher vibrational electricity, this converts back down to usable electricity. So it switches it back and forth, and it does it in a plasmatic state. You can hold the wires in each hand, and like I said, they don't shock you. It's the copper wires that we call these matter here. To us, this is still a matter form of wire. So when we have a matter form and a nano form, and we call it grounding ourselves, we can get shocked that way. But just to hold the wires, I can hold my coils all day long while they're running and never feel a thing.
So to power appliances, how would you connect this up?
With us, the maggraph itself would plug into the wall, and the plug-in, the different appliances that you would plug in would be in the outlet section here.
This goes into the 117.
Yeah. 120, and if this is set for the United States, they come in both models. The 220s mostly all over the world, except for us, where 110 is single phase. But yes, this appears to be a single phase 110 unit. And that's what you would do. You plug it in, you get your load here. Now, what Mr. Keshe is explaining is the heartbeat, the trigger. You know, it's a pump. I call it the paddles. You know, to shock somebody back to life.
60 cycles.
Yeah, 50 to 60 is usually where the hertz starts making electricity that we call usable. It gets into the higher frequencies, and it's still usable, but it's a different kind of electricity. You have to bring it back down to I've noticed this in my experiments, that I've had to bring the hertz back down to 50 to 60 in order to get vibrational electricity, because most of our electronics and things that we deal with every day work in that frequency range and have since Tesla. So that's one of the things that we will overcome hopefully in the future, you know, as things move on towards the plasmatic state. You know, we got plasma TVs already, so plasma monitors, and there's so many more plasma devices out there that they'll soon eventually interchange, and solid state electronics will be of the plasmatic nature. In my foreseeable future anyway. These capacitors, if you can see those, I'll try to stand that up for everyone there real quick. I'm pretty sure I already got that on very good. Now you can see the capacitors here, and I've got running series instead of parallel. And these are special made capacitors. They're plasma capacitors. They're not like a matter state capacitor. They're not an electrolytic capacitor, and they're not a gel type capacitor. These are a nano state capacitor that's made out of a nano wire and a GaN solution and a separator, a barrier like an any capacitor, and a conductor like any capacitor. And when the voltage is applied, on one end, it comes out at the other end. Except it turns it from vibrational electricity into a plasma. It works with the maggrav in conjunction with each other to produce a usable amount of electricity. Now I've learned, and this is my own personal experience, that the more of these capacitors that I've added to my system, the higher kilowatts I can go up. It's the coils, I've never had a problem. Like I said, I went over 20 amps and not even phasing. So I knew that the direction to go into would be to add the capacitors to the system in order to gain the kilowatts. So that's where I started with my endeavor of being able to bump these two back together. And in the middle, I call it an infinity loop. In the middle there is what Mr. Kesh calls and refers to as a free plasma in the infinity loop. Look at a figure 8 sideways. And in the center there is the free plasma. And the best way I can explain this to you is on one side of this infinity loop, I make a negative, and on the other side of the infinity loop, I make a positive, and I make my load there. And I can do this with 2 other devices, and I happen to burn them up today, and I truly am sorry. It's really my fault, and I apologize to each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. I've worked really hard, meticulously for months on this, and to have all this fall apart on me in 3 days is just really done something to me psychologically. Because I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for all of us, all of humanity. This is a gift. I look at it as a gift from the Creator, and if we need to take advantage of and use it to the best of our abilities, learn all that we can about it, test it, put it through even more rigorous tests than we already have, and now the blueprint's out and available. And like Mr. Kesh said, we've already improved on the blueprints that are out there. We're already working on a different system altogether, and the technology will keep going like that, just like Tesla did back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He didn't let Mr. Edison get the best of it. He kept going. He kept producing. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have what we've got today. So I look at Mr. Kesh as our Tesla of our generation. He's brought us something that we really need to look further into and take advantage of the technology that's available to us. I'm living, walking proof. My neurologist will tell you I'm not supposed to be standing here in front of you right now. There's no way.
Douglas?
Yes, sir.
On what some of the people here have not seen the video or not familiar with what you had connected to this device, and in 5,000 watts for some people is a relatively abstract concept. Okay, so can you explain what you did in order to get this this device, as you see it right here,
yes,
to output 5,000 watts?
Not a problem at all.
Without any connection to the electrical outlet, or to a battery, or to a nuclear power plant, or anything like that.
Yeah, no nuclear power.
Okay, you don't have.
I had 3 CFLs, which ends up being mine were 18, so they were 54 volts.
A CFL is a compact fluorescent light.
Yes. Sorry about that. So I had 54 watts on the CFLs alone, and I had a 50 watt flat iron, so that was 100 watts. I had a 1500 watt fan forced electric wall heater, 110 volt that you plug into the wall, and I had a 1500 watt hair dryer. Most women know that hair dryers are 1500 watts on high. I had this plugged in. I had a standard refrigerator, which is has a startup capacitance of anywhere between 500 and 800 watts, and a run capacitance about anywhere from 70 to 85 watts. And I had a dorm refrigerator also hooked up to it, which a little bit lower on the wattage, 3 to 4 on startup, and about 50 to 60 on the run. With all these units, and a panini maker, I call it a grilled cheese maker,
And a microwave oven.
and a microwave oven. Yes, I had all of these loads on there, and I used the startup. The initial startup was a 5.76, and the continual run cycle was 4.6 kilowatts, and we kept it running. I had it running in the house for a month. I just shut it off at night and turn it off. I'd actually just unscrew the bulbs like this. I'd leave the system running. Harmon's got bolts that plug in, mine unscrewed. But I just unscrew the bulbs.
I'm wondering if you want me to play the video in the background. Would you be able to see it on the laptop there? I could keep the sound down. You could narrate it, perhaps. Would that work?
They can probably hear it. I'll put it up on the screen.
Whatever you think's best, Rick.
Armin, do you want, are you around? Armin?
Armin walked over there. What do you need? What do you need from Armin?
Where are you headquartered?
Oh,
Where am I headquartered?
then, where is the Keshe Foundation?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I live here in the United States. Born
In Missouri.
Yes, in Missouri. Born and raised in Southwest Kentucky, a veteran in Würzburg, Germany, and came back home and been back ever since.
You can see the video in the background, the pictures of the video, the setup.
Okay, now I can explain this better.
Yeah, well, why don't I keep the sound off in the video? You can just explain it direct there.
That'll be
Just
fine.
let it play, please. Let the video play.
You see
With
that?
the sound, Mr. Cash, or without the sound?
Without the sound, because he's
Yeah.
there live, he can talk.
Okay.
You'll see the yellow gun. There's a thermal indicator. It reads thermally. I've got it set for Fahrenheit. This is a standard refrigerator, which what I mean by standard is just a regular residential single door refrigerator. Compressor, the 3 light bulbs, my capacitors, and you can see the blank spot right there because I burned out one of the capacitors putting such a huge load on this device. My MagRav unit in the back here, you can see, which is this right here, the MagRav. And you can see over here on my strip that I was...
Rick, can you run the video run, please?
Okay.
As you can see over here on the strip, my plug-in strip, I had to actually use a pair of needle nose bi-strips to keep the surge protector from tripping. The wires won't burn, they won't melt, but it will trip the surge protector. You can see the one wire right there is a 20 gauge stranded wire. Pulling right here at the startup was close to 6 kilowatts. That's a 800 watt sandwich maker. Like I said, I call it a grilled cheese maker. This is where I'm showing the connections coming from the back of the capacitor and how the hot load comes into that capacitor right there, the first set of capacitors, which would be right here. It would come into this first set right there. That's where the hot would come in. And then the negative comes in through the bottom, and this comes back out for your load. So if we were going to use that strip, and this black being the hot, the black would go in on this side right here. And then your ground would be connected to your neutral source. Now, in my particular setup here, I drove a ground rod in the ground, just a 2.5 foot piece of copper with a 12 gauge copper stranded wire. And I drove number 4 gauge solid copper wire and drove it into the ground. You'll see it here in just a little bit to the left there. Rick's there's the wire. He was trying to get it there.
You have to, Douglas, you have to follow with the video, otherwise it doesn't make sense when you're pointing to things on the table there when people are watching the video on the live stream and so on.
Okay, I'm trying.
There's the ground, right?
Yeah. So there's me pointing at the ground, and like I said, it's a number 6 solid copper wire, and there's the other compressor. Now, and this is me showing that the compressor is working. I took the snifter valve out of it so you could hear it suck and blow, so you could tell that it was working. They're very quiet. There's the hair dryer. There's the other strip that I had to use to plug the hair dryer in because I ran out of so many strips. This is me showing that I'm having to put the vice grips on the strip to hold it down so it doesn't trip. Now then, with all of this going, we were like,